This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Harley Race.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
This is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there, live.
We are back. It has been a chaotic night here on MWF Ultra. And what happens now? Who do we have? A special guest via telephone from down in the wonderful Sunshine State of Florida, Dustin Rhodes, formerly known as Goldust in World Wrestling Entertainment. Dustin, thank you for joining us tonight here on Ultra.
Thank you for having me.
Dustin, everybody's talking about it. It's that big event, that big fundraiser in Billerica, Massachusetts at Shawsheen Technical School, Saturday night, November 13th. You will be there to meet and greet the fans, sign autographs, pose for pictures, and also be part of a special question and answer session with the fans.
That sounds good. I can't wait to do it. Billerica, November 13th.
We want all the kids to come out, stay off the street. We know what chronic problems face the kids nowadays. And this isn't just a fundraiser where you go out and sell magazine subscriptions or candy bars. This is a night of body-slamming action. In addition to seeing the future stars of tomorrow, you get to meet some legends of the squared circle. We have the Iron Sheik.
How old are these kids?
How old are the kids?
Yeah, in Billerica.
They're high school age kids, 9th grade to 12th grade.
Yeah. Well, let me just say that this day and age, high school today. I mean, everything's changed the way it used to be, and it will from here on out. It's just going to get worse and worse. But for the parents of the children, it's always their responsibility to try to teach and educate your children to say no to drugs, to stay in school, to study hard, to pay attention, to have some goals set, and to definitely go to college, and just stay off the streets, stay out of trouble, gangs and violence and stuff like that, because you really don't need it. It's not going to do anything but make you worse, get you in trouble, thrown in jail or whatever. So that's the message I'm going to send out to the kids that are listening right now, and I'm sure there's going to be some cocky kids up there that think they know it all, but I've been around the world 30,000 times or whatever, and seen it all, and participated and done it all too. So I can't wait to do it, and anybody who wants to ask a question, and whether I like it or not, hey, bring it on.
That's right. It's going to be a no-holds-barred question and answer session for the VIP ticket holders. And you bring up a good point, Dustin. In this day and age, you preach to the kids, stay away from drugs, stay away from alcohol. But due to how politics and whatnot is set up, you have extracurricular activities being cut, you have sports programs being cut, parents are forced to come up with additional money for things that were free for kids back when you and I probably were in high school, and it's difficult. That's what's so great about this event. Not only do you get a great night of wrestling action and you get to meet these superstars, but every ticket you purchased, it's going right back into that school and helping the kids out.
Yeah, like I said, you're right. I mean, these days in high school today, people, the kids have it so easy these days, and 10 years from now, it's going to be even completely different than it is now. It's just only going to get worse. The world is getting worse, unless we stop it ourselves, unless we do something about it. You said politics. Yes, everything is politics now, and politics play such a big role in so many things, and you let your guard down for 1 minute, you get walked over. I mean, things happen, but the kids just have to be smarter than that, and try to learn from people that have been there, and preach about it. That's fine, but I mean, they got to make up their own minds to do it.
Absolutely. That's what's so great about this event. Not only do we have a chance to have a great wrestling event, but it's a chance to give back to the local community. Kids from 6 different cities go to the Shawsheen Valley Vocational Technical High School in Billerica. So we expect it to be a great night of action. We have a superstar that's going to be there. This man, Dustin Rhodes. You might remember him from back in WCW. You might remember him from the WWF when he was Goldust. In addition to that, we have former WWF Heavyweight Champion, the Iron Sheik, the Ugandan Giant Kamala, Cowboy Bob Orton, Dustin Rhodes. We could go on and on all night about this. You were a big part of the WrestleFest.
Interested for his comments with the Sheik, because he's always got something good to say, and he loves the United States of America. I know that, even though wherever he's from, I forget where he said he's from, but if the kid, the kids will really enjoy him speaking, because he's a lot of fun and he's full of laughs, but he puts out a good message too.
He does. The Iron Sheik, what's so great about him is that most people have that switch in their head when they think something, but they don't say it. The Sheik doesn't get that. He just says what he thinks. That's what makes him such an interesting person to talk to.
Exactly.
He's an Iranian that's now an American citizen, and he absolutely loves it here.
Sure does.
Sheik will be there, Kamala will be there, Bob Orton. Now, Dustin, you were a big part of our WrestleFest reunion we had back on October 2nd in Boston. How did it feel to be back in this area and get to see the fans?
It was great. Always, Boston's one of my favorite towns. Boston, Chicago, the Garden, in New York. But those three, on the Eastern Seaboard, or the East, Chicago. Boston's definitely one of my favorite places to ever participate in any event in. And the fans are very good up there, and they're supportive, and they always have been. And whether they like me or not, they're very nice and courteous, respectful, and that's why I like Boston. And plus they got good food up there too.
Great Chinese food. We won't say where we go, but you know what I'm talking about.
That's the best place I've ever seen in my life for Chinese food.
Well, we'll be there November 13th. Trust me on that one. Let me ask you, off the top of your head, do you have one memory about the Boston area that stands out above others?
The Boston area, let's see. Well, yeah. Well, I got a couple of. I think. See, one memory I have. It was in the Fleet Center, though. It wasn't the old Garden. And we were doing the Hardcore Championship, which I really don't like anymore, but just one of the little skits we did in the back. Maven had won, and I came in the dressing room, or in the dressing room, in the trainer room, and pinned him while he was on the training table, and won the title because it was 24/7. But also that night, Pete Rose was there, and I got a ball signed, from him, and I think that was the same night that Kane did whatever to him, slammed him or did something to him.
Right, that was at WrestleMania 14 back in March of 1998. On that event, you teamed up with Luna to take on Mark Mero and Sable.
And I do remember being in the Garden a few times, but I was so young, I cannot remember or recall who exactly I worked with. It might have been like Rick Martel or something like that.
I'll run one by you from the Boston Garden from an event I went to. It was back in January of 1990. It was back when they brought you in to team with your dad. And there was a big blizzard in Boston at that time. And what happened was a lot of the guys couldn't get into the show, so they opened the show with you against Playboy Buddy Rose. And the match must have went about 40 minutes because there was nobody else to wrestle.
And Buddy's, great worker, man. He's fun.
Playboy Buddy Rose and the Blowaway Diet. Anyone that saw it will never forget it. And speaking of something you'll never forget, MWF Soul Survivor 2004, brought to you by BostonWrestling.com and the Shawshene Valley Vocational Technical High School, Saturday night, November 13th. Where else can you see the superstars and meet them at the same time? In addition to that, like we talked about, Dustin, it's a chance to give back to the school. It's a great event for the kids to stay off the street. I know you have a young daughter. I take care of a little boy myself, so we're on the same page when it comes to that. Overall, Dustin, what can the fans expect to see and hear on November 13th as we were running out of time?
Well, just like I said, you just mentioned you having a son and me having a daughter, and us as parents, and I hope that the parents out there will be listening to this and try to think and do the same way. Is that when I get in front of those kids and I'll look at them, and I'll pick a couple of them out that I know, are cocky or they're the popular people or whatever, and this and that, and I say, hey man, what you got to do is listen to your parents, because they're more knowledgeable than you are, even though you think you know it all, but you don't know shit. Now I'm going to speak my mind. If they don't like it, that's fine, but to definitely stay away from drugs and alcohol and stuff like that, because that leads to other things and worse things, and sooner or later, it catches up to you. And I'm a firm believer in what goes around comes around, and you can bet your sweet ass on that it will come back to bite you in the ass if you make some bad decisions. And everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. I make mistakes, you know, and you pay for them in the end, whether it's in the end or in the middle, but it comes around back to you. And I'm just going to try to just give that message to the kids, and hopefully hopefully it'll sink into them.
Absolutely. What more can we say? We're just about out of time in this segment. Come on out Saturday night, November 13th. Meet Dustin Rhodes, formerly known as Goldust in the WWF. Meet the Iron Sheik, the Ugandan Giant Kamala, Bob Orton. See a great night of action with the hungry young athletes of the Millennium Wrestling Federation. Plus, raise some cash for the cause. Support Shawsheen Valley Vocational Technical High School, November 13th. Dustin, we'll see you then, and we hope you're there too.
Bill Rickard, man, I'll be there, baby, November 13th. It's for the cause.
We'll be back in just one moment.
Be real funny. He's such a punk. He's such a punk. Hey, Todd. Great match, brother. Yeah, come on.